How do you think about yourself? When I ask you how you feel about yourself, do you immediately come up with a list of negative qualities? A lot of people struggle with these questions, and it really boils down to a question of self-esteem. How much self-esteem do you have? Do you feel like you are a worthwhile person? And do you feel confident enough to go out into the world from this secure base? Hi, if you're new here, my name is Wes. On this channel, we explore the topics of mental health and relationships to help you live a happier, more full life. And in today's video, we are going to talk about self-esteem. We are going to dive into the research done by Nathaniel Branden for his book, 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem. And we're going to go into each different pillar of self-esteem and talk about, practically speaking, how do you implement those in your life in a real way so that you can actually build self-esteem if you are coming from a place of struggling with this issue. So without further ado, let's dive into pillar 1, which is living consciously. Living consciously really can be broken down to 2 things. 1, self-understanding, getting an understanding of who you are as a person. And the second piece is living consciously through action. So taking action in a conscious, intentional way in your life. So let's boil this down a little bit more. What does self-understanding really mean? We all have a narrative or a story that we think about when we think about our lives. Think about when somebody asks you to tell them your life story. You might tell them about past traumas that have really shaped you. You might talk to them about successes and wins that you had in your life. Usually, somebody with low self-esteem talks about these things in a really negative way. And if that's you, what I really want to encourage you to do is to do this exercise. Write out your life story. Create a story for yourself. Write it out. Take as much time as you need to actually put it down, put pen to pad and write this thing out, and then read it to yourself. Look at it with a critical eye, saying, am I being too critical here? Am I being too negative? Am I comparing myself to other people without really giving myself enough credit? And then once you've done that yourself, I want you to share it with someone. I want you to share it with someone that you trust and who will give you honest feedback and will say, hey, I think you're being really hard on yourself on this point. Or, hey, I know that you did that, but you're way more than the way you think of yourself in that way. Getting this outside take on your own life story can be really challenging at times, but it can also be really, really helpful. And it's the first step in defining who you are and who you want to become. Self-esteem is really built in this kind of pattern of creating trust in yourself. A lot of self-esteem is feeling like you're not worthwhile or you're not worthy of doing something or another, which is really a sign of lack of trust in yourself. So in order to build that trust, first we have to gain an understanding of where we are and what the problems are. Then comes in living consciously. Living consciously is really taking a vote for yourself again and again and again. And over time, those little votes add up into a shift in your identity and a change in how you view your self-worth. So how do you actually go about doing that, living in a conscious way? Well, I think the first way is to really define where you want to go, define what your values are, and then look at small behaviors that can help you get there. So once you define these habits and these goals for yourself, these actions, then I want you to actually create a plan for how to get there. That leads us into Step 2 is really around self-acceptance. So oftentimes we write our life story and we think about who we are, where we are. If you have low self-esteem, then a lot of negativity will come up. Negative feelings, negative emotions, negative thought patterns, all bringing you down, helping you look for the little flaws or little insecurities that you have about your own life and pointing them out to you in a blaring alarm bell kind of way. Well, when those thoughts and feelings come up, what most of us do is we avoid them. We try to escape them in some way or another. We distract ourselves with social media or TV, or we rationalize ourselves out of it in our own thought processes. What self-acceptance really is learning to sit with those feelings. When they come up, and this is what I want you to do when you write out that life story, is sit and feel everything that comes up. Just feel it, just sit there, feel the shame, feel the fear, feel the negativity and self-worth, and then I want you to repeat to yourself over and over again. I feel this, and I accept it. It is part of me, but it is not all of me. I feel this, and I accept it. It is part of me, but it is not all of me. Feeling the feelings that come up and learning to accept them over time or what they are accept your story, accept the past traumas and hurts and experiences that you've been through, the mistakes that you've made, that gives you a foundation, a solid foundation on which to realistically begin changing your life for the better. Okay, number 3 is self-responsibility. So everyone struggles with really taking ownership for their own life. It doesn't matter how much therapy you go to, how many self-help books you read. Eventually, the changes that you want to make in your life come down to you and the choices that you make and the actions that follow those choices. So I really want you here to focus on taking responsibility for the next step in changing your life. Take responsibility for some of the things that got you to where you are now, and realize that, hey, no matter what happened in the past, you have the ability to take a step forward on your own. And that sense of responsibility is actually really empowering. It's really fun too, because you get to see, wow, okay, I have the ability to make a change. Now the world's my oyster. What kind of change do I want to make? Do I want to try this over here? Do I want to do that over there? And again, every time you take a conscious action that is a vote towards the life that you want to lead, you begin to build more trust in yourself, and that leads to higher self-esteem. So number 3 is self-responsibility. Number 4 is self-assertiveness. And this one's kind of interesting because really what it is it's looking at the things that have held you back in the past, the fears and insecurities that you've had, and making a brave choice to get your needs met. So I want you to, on this one, as far as practical things go, make a list of your needs. And you can boil these down into different buckets and categories, whatever feels right to you. I like to think about mental needs, health needs, emotional needs, relationship needs. And within each of those categories, ask yourself the question, are my needs getting met currently? Figure out what those needs are they being met? And then give yourself a percentage, like they're being met 50%. And then look at what it would take to have those needs be met fully. So now you can start to see how we're looking for little ways that you can begin to take action in your own life, take that responsibility, and live consciously in a way that will help build your self-esteem with those tiny votes of trust over time. Number 5 is living purposefully. So living purposefully really goes back to a lot of the things that we've been talking about, those votes of trust. Living purposefully is really taking ownership over your goals in life, finding the necessary actions to achieve those goals, and then monitoring the way that you take action towards those goals over time. Self-esteem is not a series of outward actions. What self-esteem is the internal practice of setting your goals, living authentically and consciously towards those goals, and recognizing when you are in the process of living in that way. Living in that way will show you again and again that you are doing the things that you want to be doing, and that teaches your mind to hold yourself in higher self-esteem because you are a person who follows through with what they want to do, right? You accept where you are right now, you take responsibility for your ability to change, and you take steps purposefully towards that goal that you want to set for yourself. So in this exercise, I want you to literally write out those goals. Write out big goals, small goals, whatever it is, all of the goals that you want to have, and then start boiling them down into, okay, what's something that I can do this week? What's something that I can do today? And then what I want you to do is every 2 weeks, set a reminder in your calendar to review those goals. If you don't hit all of them, that's okay. Remember, when you don't hit all of those goals all at once, self-acceptance is being kind to yourself. It's learning to accept that, okay, maybe this week wasn't my week, but I have responsibility next week to make it even better, right? So living purposefully really comes down to finding those goals, creating a plan to tackle them. So number 6 is personal integrity. So this is what we've been building to this whole time. Personal integrity is literally following through with what you say you are going to do. It's keeping promises to yourself. People who have high self-esteem know that they are doing what they need to be doing in life because they set goals, they make commitments to themselves, and they follow through. A lot of the time, people with low self-esteem, their mind is telling them that they're not doing the things that they are say that they're going to be doing. For example, if you had a goal to go work out at the gym and you look up in a month and you haven't been at all, then part of what is making you feel so down about yourself is the fact that you had a commitment to yourself to do something that was going to be healthy and positive for you, and you didn't follow through. The best way to do this, I found, is to make those commitments small and manageable. Break your larger goals into really small things. If your plan is to get in shape and you want to make a personal commitment, say, I'm going to do something healthy every day. That can be, I'm going to eat 1 apple a day. It can also mean I'm going to go for a 5-minute walk every day, right? You create the goals and you decide what type of judgment or sense of accomplishment you want to place on your own progress towards them. So, in conclusion, to build self-esteem, there are 6 key principles. The first is to live consciously. Understand who you are and choose conscious actions in your day-to-day life. Number 2 is self-acceptance. Learn to accept yourself for who you are, where you are. Number 3 is self-responsibility. Take responsibility for where you are and where you want to go. Take action towards those goals. Number 4 is self-assertiveness. Once you know what is holding you back, start making conscious choices to speak up, to step into life more fully. And this can be a fun process, remember. It's based around curiosity, exploration, and really taking risks. And sometimes that can be fun. Number 5 is around living purposefully. Find goals that align with your values, set those goals, and take steps towards them. And number 6 is personal integrity. Remember that when you set those goals, you're making a commitment to yourself to take even very small actions towards them. If you mess up, that's okay. Accept where you are, take responsibility for it, and start again. But you need to be making small commitments to yourself because those votes over time add up into a shift in your identity and overall higher self-esteem. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, if you liked this video, please share it with someone else who it might be helpful to. Please give me a thumbs up, it really helps. And please subscribe to this channel. I'll be putting out more content just like this in the future. Thanks again.